All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I'm talking with my friend Kyle J. Steenblik. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
Close enough?
Or at least close enough, yeah.
All right, and he's you might know him from the channel Utah Outcasts on YouTube, which I do have a link to down below, by the way, if you want to go and see what they're all about. And I also have a link to an older one of Kyle's YouTube channels where he does rants and reels and rants. Is that what it's talking about? Movies is what
Yeah. I was a film critic for several years. I recently had to step away from it because, of course, film criticism pays really, really well. It pays nothing.
I was going to say, that sounds like
right. So, but no, I had to step away for family reasons. So it was my wife's turn to go try her
hand at
try her hand at getting out and doing things that she wanted to do. So she helped me out and she supported me for several years. So it's my turn.
Very cool. Yeah, what comes around goes around, right?
Exactly.
And besides that, you only really make money as a movie critic if you're like Siskel and Ebert, and both of them are gone now, I think. So there's a vacancy.
Yeah. You used to be able to make money at it by working for a paper or a TV station.
Oh, sure, a freelance guy.
Oh yeah. And there are still several. But they are. It's becoming increasingly rare. Newspapers are essentially outsourcing. They're just grabbing whatever they can. So they're using wire services for film review. So your local newspaper probably doesn't even have a local critic anymore. Well, it's kind of a sad state of affairs. But
I don't really read the local rag. There's not much to it, except for Grandma Smith just started up her new garden this spring, and the posies are lovely.
Yeah, local newspapers. It's the demise of your local paper is kind of sad.
Yeah, but you know what? Most of them are online.
Most of them are online, and they're able to pull in some profit from advertising. Good for them.
Yeah. We always find around here, anyways. All our little coffee shops. These guys go around and they drop off coffee shop news, which is a little brown recycled piece of paper with spots of news on it, and of course, half of it is advertising. Of course.
Oh, of course, it has to be.
If you ever flip through a modern day Cosmopolitan magazines, there's 3 articles and then 98,000 more pages are all.
Yeah, it's three quarters advertisement, but yeah, it's what pays. It's what pays the bill.
Indeed, and it pays very well because everyone wants to advertise in popular magazines.
Of course.
But anyways, Kyle, you know what I do here? I talk to people about their leaving their religions behind or their beliefs or whatever. Uh-huh. So why don't you kind of take us on a little bit of a journey here? Go back to what you can, or the earliest memory that you can sort of pull up in your mind about how you kind of started thinking this stuff was nonsense, and take us on that journey to you becoming the atheist activist that you are today.
Right. So I grew up Mormon. It's always very interesting, but
you live in Utah. Weird.
I did. Yeah, I know. But I didn't grow up a very good Mormon.
Okay.
I was always a very skeptical kid.
All right.
I was a smart ass kid.
Yeah, me too. We share that.
So, but you do the thing because that's what you do. You go to church, you sit in the Sunday school, and more often than not, I wound up getting, asked to politely leave because, 8-9 years old, I'm the smart ass kid sitting there going, so if there are 100 different translations of a Bible, how do you know the translation that you're using is correct? Because we're not just talking about the same version in different languages. We're talking about completely different versions that say different things.
Sure. And I got a bit of a hint for you. They're all nonsense.
Absolutely. But, these little naggy thoughts start creeping into your head. So I'm, 8-9 years old, and this is what I'm thinking about. What the hell? How do you know?
So what kind of triggered that? It's just the stories in it seemed unrealistic, or
a little bit. Things seemed unrealistic, And there must have been a class where they were talking about different versions and different translations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was intended to be, the your kind of standard. Hey, this is the version of the Bible that is the actual real one that we adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, if you have to tell somebody that this is the version you adhere to, that means there are other versions.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are other versions, what's the difference?
Like you said, interpretation. Right. That's about it.
Right. And because if you're not familiar, the way the Mormon Church works, all of the Sunday school teachers and your local leadership there, they're all lay people. Mm-hmm. They're just volunteers. They have no training, so when you get a smart-ass kid in a class that's asking questions you can't answer, your only recourse is just go wait in the hall. We can't get into your endless string of questions
that we don't have answers for.
Right. So with a kid who's naturally curious, and if there was something to read, I'd read it. And if I had a question, I would try my best to find answers. So of course, when they ask you to leave, you just go start trying to find stuff. Now this is the 80s. I couldn't just go out in the hall, pull up a phone, and start pulling up Wikipedia articles.
Right.
So I would have to, when I'd go to libraries, I'd find books on religions and all these other different religions. I got really curious, especially Eastern religions,
mm-hmm.
Buddhism, Taoism,
the interesting ones,
Hinduism. It was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, at this point in time, I still hadn't entered into that realm of, well, clearly what I believe is bullshit. So if what I believed wasn't bullshit, that means all this other stuff was, then why do other people believe it?
Right.
So that's that rabbit hole I started to go down. What the hell? Why do so many other people believe different things? And how did we just got lucky and we got the right answer somewhere?
Yeah, exactly. We happen to pick the right belief system. Yeah.
Right. Or we were born into the right belief system.
Of course.
Right. So none of that really satisfied me. So, but, again, this is, the 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
There's no good way to just go find this information.
Yeah, not at that point.
Yeah. So you stick with it and, just started doing more and more classes. By the time I hit, 16, 17, in Utah, they do, the high schools do a period of study where you can go take seminary class
mm-hmm.
from the Mormon Church. Wow.
Were you actually thinking of going down that road at one time?
Well, it's not, it's really just Sunday school.
Oh,
it's really just extra Sunday school. But, you live in this predominant culture and that's what everybody does. And that's just what you do. So you're a Mormon, you go to this seminary class. So that's what I did. And again, increasingly, you're finally entering an area where these teachers, they're not lay people. They are actual teachers. They've gone to school, they've studied this.
Sure.
So they have some good answers. Not a lot of good answers. And I wound up spending some extra time, between classes, lunch periods, even after school, talking with these teachers. And I would just ask question after question, and we got to a point where they couldn't provide any real answers. It all came down to, it's like, yeah, well, this is what we feel is right. This is what we believe, and you just have to go off gut feeling. that's never a satisfactory answer for me.
No, considering if I go by
Sometimes,
my record of gut feelings being right,
yeah,
it's pretty low.
exactly. But hey, that's where we are.
Mhm.
So we're left with, you either just accept it and believe it and go on, or you don't accept it, you don't believe it, and you have to find something else. So around 16, 17, that's where I hit. I no longer believe this, but I had no idea what an alternative was. I just knew I didn't believe it.
Right. Oh, so you didn't think about investigating other belief systems at that point yet?
Well, I had investigated other belief systems. Read a lot about Eastern religions, and
oh yeah, okay.
But
none of them fancied you?
As fascinating as they were, I couldn't buy into the belief system.
Right.
I could go and read all about Buddhism and really get into that philosophy and go, oh yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here, but I don't buy any of the supernatural stuff.
Sure, right.
I just can't get that far. So you start forming your own ideas, and of course none of them are very good, because the second an idea you've formed on your own gets challenged in any way, you have nothing to fall back on.
Right. Unless you're like one of those well-preparing kind of people that, I got to think of answers for stuff and write them down.
Right. But it didn't matter to me at that point. Right. So I was just wandering around, an angry kid, until of course I get to university and really start diving into philosophy and really start diving into different theologies and their origins. And at that point in time, that was where the idea of atheism first entered my consciousness.
Had you ever thought about it before? Like, had anyone ever mentioned what it was or anything like that? Well,
no.
Okay.
At that point in time, it was really I had no idea. Okay. It's not until I got to university where that idea even came up. And it's like, oh yeah, of course.
It's a common thread.
Of course that's where I am. I had no idea what that term actually meant, but yes, of course, that's me. That's where I fall.
Yeah, I don't buy the bullshit. So right. I'm an atheist.
Right. So, but now you've got somewhere to direct your anger, and I really through that journey, I really gained a good understanding. When people come out of religion, they need something to fill that void.
Sure. Yeah.
And for a lot of people go to different religions, and they kind of do that half-heartedly, and some people fall really hard into antagonistic atheism.
Yeah. Especially like you were saying earlier, you were angry, and I find that that's very common with people who come fresh out of religion. They're quite angry that they feel they've been lied to, right? So. Oh yeah. But it's not really that they're lied to. They were told things that their parents believed. So it's not really that they lied, but
right.
But you get that state.
Right, you hit that state. You hit that frame of mind where, people may not, the people you loved and grew up with, and they may not have tried or intended to lie to you knowingly.
Right.
But what they were still telling you, it was wrong. I mean, it's just completely untrue. So without meaning to, all the people you grew up with, all the people you loved and trusted, have essentially been lying to you. Yeah. So you're angry. And, this is where you get, people who, tear up Bibles and really get into fights and arguments and are really assholes. But, so that's, when people challenge atheism as a religion, I get where they're coming from.
Right.
Because the loudest people in the movement are the people who are, the newest. Because they still have that fire. They still need that sense of a thing in their life. So that's what they've got. That's what they run to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I was pretty fortunate to get out of that stage before I really got into activism.
Okay.
So by the
How
time,
long do you figure you were like angry?
a couple years, really. I mean, it wasn't until I really started to dive into a lot of the philosophy and theology.
Oh yeah, okay.
That I started to understand where it was all coming from.
Right.
So
I never went through the angry phase, surprisingly enough.
Some people don't. It's really just a matter of, how long it was in a part of your life, how big a part of your life it was, what kind of impact it had, or
yeah, I think that was more for me. Like I didn't really believe it. Really,
yeah.
These are probably just metaphorical bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
right,
and then
yeah,
go from that to paganism and out, and here I am now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's amazing the number of atheists who went from Christianity to some form of paganism.
Mm-hmm.
Then to just like I don't have energy for that anymore.
You sure we could conjure up some energy? Just use.
Yeah, no, rituals. It's too much work. Rituals are way too much work, man. Can we just open a bourbon and talk about space?
Yeah,
that's where we are.
That's why I have the backgrounds that I have, because space is awesome. I do have friends that left paganism or left their religion for paganism. And they're still there, like Ocean, right? Ocean.
Sure.
Yeah.
And some people are very, very happy there and find a lot of comfort and wisdom there. And,
yeah, sure. Oh yeah.
Sure. I mean, there's nothing inherently bad or dangerous about paganism. Well, no, that's okay. That's not necessarily true.
It's not to the scale of theology.
Not to the scale, not to that scale. But there are some people in every walk of whatever belief system you want to talk about. There are people who can take it way too far.
Oh yeah. Right.
So, but generally speaking, it's pretty benign.
It is. It is, and they're more in our corner than they would be in any theological corner, for sure.
Absolutely. So
that's why I think we get to be friends with them. As a matter of fact, they're actually inviting pagans this year to Faithless Form.
that is a really good idea.
I think so too.
So, if nothing else, it will make for some very interesting conversations.
Absolutely, it did last year when Ocean showed up. I had to convince Ocean to go, but he went.
Good. No, I'm glad they did.
Yeah, and it was a good time. We had a great time down there.
So, yeah, I was pretty much over my angry phase by the time I fell into activism, and that was actually around the time I started up the Utah Outcasts with X.
Right.
Me and X have been friends for many years before the show.
Right.
And we'd done a lot of work together and done.
You can tell that with you too, by the way.
Yeah, we'd been coworkers and we had done other podcasts, and we had been kicking around the idea of doing a show centered around atheism or about atheism for a long time, because it was fascinating to both of us, and we loved having these conversations. But we couldn't quite figure out how to do it, how to put it together. So it took a lot of years to put that together. That was when we met Felicia through our local Atheists of Utah organization, nonprofit organization.
Very cool.
That we were both members of. All three of us were members of. So we met her through there, and she was interested in jumping on the show with us and putting it together. It's been a very interesting progression and journey with the three of us.
Yes, but you guys are engaging, and that's what I love about your show. That's the thing, right? You guys the way you guys do things, it's so like off the cuff, natural kind of. I know that you guys kind of script a few things, but a lot of the stuff just comes off the top of your head because I've been live with you guys or recording with you guys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I want to come back too, by the way, because that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we absolutely love you. Love to have you back. Yeah, the scripting we do is so minimal. It is really we have a list of here's the stories and kind of things we want to talk about.
The coach ones get me every time.
X will go through and pick out the stories and he'll have the bits of story or intro to read off.
He sent me a bunch that I could peruse through before jumping.
Yeah.
Right, so.
And then essentially we just use that as a jumping off point. And so about 95% of what you see on the show is completely unscripted and completely unplanned.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so much fun. That's kind of why I do this the same way. I don't really script. I don't have questions I'm going to ask because I need to know what you're going to say before I can ask a question, right? So that's kind of the way I do it. But I think it always works best that way. It feels more natural to me. It's just a free flow, this kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
so
conversation is the best way to go.
I think so.
And you let the conversation go where it wants to go, and
wait till the after party, Cal.
The big fun part we have with our show is most of the time, Felicia and I will do our damnedest to put the conversation where we want it instead of on the subject we're trying to talk about.
Right.
And so it's a common theme, and we'll bring it up quite a bit. We're doing the thing that we always do, which is we're talking about what we want to talk about instead of what we should be talking about. Right. So we start with trying to do something with a clip from Dave Dobbin, Coach Dave.
Yeah, he's fucking floors me.
And we wind up then talking about food. It almost always immediately deviates to something food related. And then usually somehow we wind up in on a hardcore fisting.
yeah. I don't know. And it's weird because I've been live for something like this, and how it leads to that is just
it's a very natural progression. You just gotta believe us.
Handful of strawberries, fisting.
Just relax, and it goes much smoother.
Yeah, especially if you're getting into that. Definitely, maybe a little lube. I don't know.
Just spit on
going in dry. It's okay. I've had a few beers. I'm ready.
That usually helps.
I'm already loosened up.
Yeah.
So I'm at the hospital getting the beads removed. Yeah, no.
The string broke again.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah. It's okay. The hamster carried them all out.
That's what they're good. That's what they're good for.
That's right. Put them in their cheeks and come on right out.
Yeah. So that's my deconversion story.
Ending with hamsters. All right.
Ending with hamsters and fisting. Yeah.
Well,
as they usually do.
Well, how about your yeah, that's a good weekend. How about your family? Are they still sort of in there, or how did they take you becoming a non-believer?
So it's an interesting mix.
Okay. It's kind of like me too.
Yeah, my siblings we're all very similar. Okay. And they've all to varying degrees fallen out away from the religion and always use lube.
Lucas oil. There you go.
Just water-based is the best way to go.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I was pushing petroleum-based ones.
Yeah.
It can cause a fire.
It can become a fire, but it also deteriorates latex, so you got to keep that in mind.
That is true.
Right.
It's very true.
Practice safe fisting.
Do they make that big of a condom? I'm not even sure.
Well, that's what the gloves are for.
Oh, right. You know.
Yeah. But you got to get you got to get the yellow dishwashing ones that go halfway up your arm.
Like an evening glove, right?
Right. Right.
All right.
They're nice because they usually have some texture on them too.
Oh yeah, kind of like ribbed for her pleasure,
Yeah.
or his pleasure, or their pleasure.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. Yeah. Little friction and little grip is good. Yeah. Now I can't remember. Now I can't remember what we were actually saying.
Your family. Sorry,
right.
I didn't mean to.
It's a natural progression. Yeah. So my siblings all fell away from religion.
Wow.
Not quite to the extent I did. You know, they just kind of went, oh, okay, well, it's bullshit, whatever, and
whatever.
That was it.
Did they still have a deity belief at all? Do you think?
No.
Okay.
That I know they don't. Now, my parents are a different story.
Okay.
So I guess we have to backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
So my mom was a convert. So
from another belief.
So she was a convert from I think they were Baptists.
Oh,
if I'm
wow.
if I'm remembering this right. So she was a Baptist, and they were actually, my mom and her family were converted by my dad. So my dad was a Mormon missionary, and at like 19, 20 years old, he knocked on their door, and that's how my mom and dad met.
Wow, really?
It's interesting story. So that's where that started. So my dad converted my mom and her brother and her mom, but not my grandfather. He didn't buy it. He's still he still has a belief. He's still fairly religious, but not in an annoying kind of way.
Not in a crazy ass way, is it?
No. It's a thing. He believes it is what it is, and he doesn't really want to talk about it.
Right. So he doesn't stand on a street corner and preach or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No. But the Mormonism thing, he was like, look, if you guys want to, fine. I think it's bullshit. But
magic underwear, come on.
Yeah. But he he went along with it in all, but going, sure, sign me up. He was like, well, it's a religion, and it's pretty much mostly the same as all the others, but he didn't sign up, so to speak.
All right, so, that's good.
Yeah. So that's where my parents were. Later in life, my dad started to he started to slowly slip away.
Do you think you may have had anything to do with that?
I don't want to take too much credit for it. But
well, I mean, did you have conversations about it that might have started the wheels
we absolutely
turning,
later in life we absolutely did have conversations about it.
Okay.
I would talk to him about what I was doing. I'd talk about some of the talks or conversations I was doing. I was when I was in a leadership position with Atheist of Utah, I was going and doing talks and meetings at various universities and different groups in the state, and I would talk to him about it and tell him a little bit about what I was doing, and I wasn't shy about what I thought of the religion, and saying, I can't. It kind of came to a head one day when we were talking about it, and I just said, I don't know how you can put any stock in a religion founded by a con man.
I was just going to say a con man, yeah.
And I said, historically, Joseph Smith, the person who founded that church, was a con artist, and that's what he did. And I said, I don't. If you look at any of his personal history, and his interactions, and I don't know how you can put much stock into that, at least without giving things a serious look it was really just a con.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
his last con was his most successful one.
Right. And at that point, shortly after that, my dad bought himself a copy of the Jefferson Bible. That's where he started.
Okay.
So he read through that. He started reading a couple other books. He borrowed for a week a copy of Dawkins' God Delusion, and we did have quite a few talks. And by the end of his life, he didn't want anything to do with the church.
Okay.
So he was on his way to saying he doesn't believe any of it, but he kind of died before that could really happen. That made his funeral very interesting because
how so?
Well, his side of the family is very, very devout. They are they are about as Mormon as you can get, which means they're incredibly boring people to be around. Really annoying too. But yeah, some of the ritual in the Mormon Church around death is a little bizarre. And we're talking Freemason. The reason people call it a cult is because they do a lot of culty things.
Yeah.
So things like
does it pass that bite model?
The
bite model?
So?
I can't remember what the fuck all the letters stand for off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. I get
how you determine it.
Okay, yeah, I get where you're going. It is very close. It is. So there's a certain amount where it's up to interpretation. But so one of their things.
There it is.
In the church, if you have gone through their temple and received, your secret handshakes, I'm sure most of your audiences are familiar with some of those weirder things. If you're not,
yes, yeah.
Go check out some of the videos by a new name Noah. Actually, a pretty good friend of mine. Really interesting, really nice guy. But he's done a lot of secret hidden camera filming of these temple ceremonies.
Really cool.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating and a little bit creepy.
I imagine it's probably more than a little bit creepy, but
a little bit. But yeah, go check those out if you really want to. If you really want to see
where
some
can we
weirdness.
find these? Like YouTube kind of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's new name Noah.
New name Noah. Okay,
mm-hmm.
Write that down, IQ. It's my moderator.
But one of their things, one of their rituals. So after you go through these temple ceremonies, you'll get your temple garments. It's the magic underwear, and it's been lampooned 1,000 times.
Oh yeah.
So you get these temple garments. When you are about to have your casket closed, you are redressed. The corpse is redressed in not only all the temple garments, but other garments that they don't talk about or let anybody see. They wanted to do that to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fairly confident that I'm the only person he's actually had this conversation with.
Okay.
Knowing that he didn't want that. That's
no, he made that.
He wanted. Yeah, he made that pretty clear. He didn't.
Yeah.
He actually didn't even want to be buried. He just wanted a cremation. He didn't want any of that.
Right.
So. So it wound up being some interesting confrontations between me and some local church leadership that were very insistent that this be done. And it really got to the point where I stole the bag of sacred garments
Really?
that they wanted. Yeah. 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 I just waited until they weren't looking, and I grabbed them and I hid them in the casket.
How did that turn out?
Well, they didn't know where they were, and I just told them, it's like, this isn't what he wants. This is not going to happen. Sorry.
Right. They finally go, oh, all right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, they didn't have a choice, especially if you hid it in the casket. I mean, who's going to go looking in there for it?
Yeah, they didn't really have a choice. I just said, this is not going to happen. This is not what he wanted. So, you guys can just fuck off. This was in a church, by the way. So
it's okay.
Yeah. There's
no one's coming after you.
There's nothing quite like telling a couple of church leaders to fuck off in the church during your own father's funeral.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do? Tell you to leave?
How can they? Right? I mean, how could they? They would look like the ultimate assholes if they did that.
Right. I said, no, we're doing this. We're doing what we're doing what he wanted as close as we possibly can.
Yeah, you want to grant his last wish.
You guys can fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that some of my family may be going through that.
It's interesting, and it's not fun. I mean, I guess the moral of the story is, have that conversation with your loved ones.
Yep.
Ahead of time. Preferably with more than one of them.
Yeah.
So that it's not just one person going, no, this isn't what he wanted. We did have this conversation. So.
Yeah, I guess you were kind of, if you're the only one that he talked like that about, or about that with you,
right?
And you really have no one else in your corner. This is all them taking your word for it, I guess.
Right.
And so that can be a tough position to be in.
Mm-hmm. It was rough.
I think you made the right move, though.
Well, fortunately, my family, siblings, and mother, they backed me up. And they said, okay, well, if that's what he said, I mean, it does sound like something that he would have said. So
sure,
and it helped that we all knew that he didn't even want a burial. He wanted a cremation, so he didn't want all of this ceremony and anything.
It's a lot cheaper, I think.
So it is a lot cheaper. So they already knew that that's what he wanted. He didn't want this, so we're at least not going to take it all the way.
Right. Oh, okay. So did he end up getting cremated?
No.
So they end up burying him anyways.
Yeah, they end up burying him anyways, and that's there's a point where there's only so many fights you can have with with family, and there's only so much you can really push.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he wanted to be cremated. Those were his wishes, but at the same time, he's gone. He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So really, all of the ceremony, the ritual, what you do with the remains of a loved one, is not for that loved one. It is for everybody else.
Right.
So
that's true.
So if everybody else can't quite cope with the idea of cremation, then you just say, okay, well, we'll go with option B.
But what if he stipulates it in his will?
He would have. He was unfortunately not the type of person that wanted to do a will.
Oh.
Like even before, so he died from complications from a surgery in the hospital.
Okay.
Even before he went into surgery, he refused to sign a living will. Because he was just that kind of guy that he believed firmly that if he did, it wouldn't work out. Things wouldn't turn out right.
Right.
If you had a contingency plan, then of course that's what was going to happen. So you only ever made one plan, and so there's only one course of action. So that was his mindset.
Right.
So that's what he went into everything that way. It didn't always work out.
I've often thought about doing one myself because I've reached the age now where it could be any day. Right? So
it is something I would encourage everybody to do if for no other reason that if shit goes south, the people left behind have just those decisions that taken off the table. They don't need to make those decisions. You've already made them. That's
right. It makes things easier too.
Right.
Especially during a difficult time where people may even be incapable of making wise decisions.
Right. Besides, that is the only way you're going to get, catapult into your last wishes. What do you want to do with your remains? Well,
I already know
get a catapult.
Something very similar.
Catapult, trebuchet. I'm not really going to be too picky at that point in time, but either way, here's a list of potential targets.
See, I want to be shot into space in that orbit where it goes around for a couple of years and then it comes back down.
Yeah.
Like what I think Carl Sagan, Hubble, and Gene Roddenberry had this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where they were brought into space.
With their remains. Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually the orbit decays and you come back down as a shooting star, and that I think is kind of cool.
Right. I would want that done too, but I don't want to be cremated beforehand.
Oh, you just want to be in a casket? Or they put you in a sports car like on fucking heavy metal and come down. I mean
that would work too, but just the idea of being a floating corpse is appealing. Look, if you can't launch me out of a catapult, into an amusement park or something, take me up skydiving, don't do the chute, just push me out of the plane.
Hopefully somewhere where you're not going to land on somebody.
No.
Well, unless it's somebody you really dislike, then maybe.
No. I mean, people would generally speaking, if you see a falling body, you're going to get out of the way, right?
You'd think. Yeah.
You'd think.
But how many people look up in the air for falling bodies? I don't do it every day. I know that.
Oh, the trick is you just got to tie whistles all over the body.
Oh, I like those deer whistles that they put on.
Like those deer whistles that they put on the car.
Fucking animals get out of the way.
Right.
Incoming.
I mean, a speaker with a good, pre-recorded, Wilhelm scream all the way down.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Oh shit! Get out of the way! It's Kyle.
You could work something out. There's so many better options. Really, burial? No. Lucite. Get me in a good. Take me to a taxidermist. And then put me in lucite and then just, prop me up in a city square or something. With
a beer and a smoke or something.
Right. Come on.
It's like Weekend at Bernie's all the time.
I've seen that bodies exhibit. Go do something cool that you can plasticize the body.
Yeah, I went to one of those too when they came here.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking cool.
Absolutely fascinating to see a fully exploded view of a human body.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, shit. Some of the displays were like the sports ones and stuff where they're like runners or skiers or whatever. And they show them. Or even they just had one like a kid with his dog and a frisbee, right? Yeah. And they had the skeleton of the dog and the skeleton of the kid with the frisbee. And it's like, who thinks this shit up to do this? But, right. Yeah. But they're trying to capture that everyday sort of thing, right?
Right. Which is really disappointing that they don't have one just sitting on a toilet.
You could suggest it for them.
I mean, they could. Hey, here's my last wishes. When I die, put me in the bodies exhibit, sitting on a toilet.
Yeah, reading the newspaper.
reading the newspaper. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I could get you. Oh no, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. Corpse art. Yeah, pretty much, Geo Sam. It is corpse art. I can't remember the name of that fucking body something.
Well, there were two of them. So there are two. There are actually two competing exhibits. One's just called Bodies. One is called Body World.
Was that? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Or Body Works, maybe?
Body Works, I think, maybe.
That's
Body Works
that's
or
something
Body
like
Work.
that.
It has been years since I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing they had that came through here that I actually went to was the Marvel superhero display thing that they had going on. It was actually shortly after that Body Works one. I haven't been to anything like that for quite some time.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the cool one. Neat. They had Spider-Man climbing out the outside of the building, which was kind of cool. Not like a live guy, but just an actual sculpture of him on the outside of the building, which I thought was cool.
Nice.
And they had Wolverine's claws in there and all sorts of shit.
Those are really cool. Movie artifacts are endlessly fascinating. Of course, since I used to be a film critic, absolutely got pretty deep into all of that. Fortunately, stopped short of actually collecting because the money would be gone.
Well, yeah, you see over my shoulder there, that picture right over there.
Yeah,
that's my boss at work's uncle works for set design and art design for movies that are filmed here in Vancouver. And the first XMen was filmed here in Vancouver. And that's a sketch of one of the first costumes ideas for Storm, an actual real sketch. And he grabbed that for me from his uncle. He said, "Oh yeah, give it to him. If he's a big X-Men fan, he'll like that."
That is really cool.
Yeah, it is. And he had it all plasticized and nice. and they signed it, of course.
Nice. So it's fully stable.
Yeah. It's on a piece of cardboard with the wrap around it. Kind of like what they do to some of those really expensive comic books or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Look up X-Rated Museum in New York. Okay. That sounds like fun.
Incognito mode on.
What's this? My friend Zach here. Do a and make it a Halloween decoration. Yeah, you guys could do that with me when I'm gone.
Yeah,
put me in front.
I mean, just pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, Kyle, it's a little shy of the hour, but you've told your story, and we've kind of talked a little bit. What can we look forward to coming up on the Outcast show?
So, Utah Outcasts, we got an invitation to the AACon, American Atheist Convention. So that's coming up in April, Easter weekend. Yeah. So we're going to be in Phoenix that whole weekend. And cool. So if you're coming down there, please stop by, say hi. We are still working out logistics on how to record some kind of show on the convention floor. And I'm sure it's going to deteriorate into, us shouting and harassing people and roasting people as they walk by. And I'm sure it's gonna turn into, oh hey, there's Matt Dillahunty. Hey Matt, how is it not to be able to hang up on people in real life? No, you're done. They actually have that on their sign-offs now for their show, which is just IQ, please do me a favor and look up that information for the Phoenix Atheist. What is it? The Atheist Convention in Phoenix. Yeah, the American Atheists.
American Atheists, that's right.
Yeah.
We're doing one here in April as well. Well, not me personally, but my friend Janice Selby, who is and Marlene Winnell. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she has a show called, or not a show, but a thing called Journey Free, where she talks to people who have had religious trauma. And that's what this whole thing is called, CORT 2020, C-O-R-T 2020. And it's all about religious trauma and the people that have been involved with that. Like Dan Barker is going to be here. And a bunch of people are going to be here. And I'm going to probably be helping out if it goes through, because now there's talk of they don't want people to get together in big groups because of the whole coronavirus thing.
Right. Yeah. That's That's going to make things interesting. That's going to make things very, very interesting.
I'm concerned for the Faithless Form because what if they don't allow me to fly down, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, yeah, we'll really have to see what happens. There are a bunch of conventions that are being postponed or canceled, which, you know, it really, as much as it kind of sucks, especially for people who, you know, this is their livelihood. You know,
yes,
they have to go to conventions to make money, but it is really, it's the responsible thing to do. To
of course
postpone some of these large gatherings.
I mean, let's face it. I know coronavirus isn't really people been saying it's like the flu. It's not an influenza virus. It's a different. Although there are influenza viruses that are coronaviruses,
right?
This is much stronger, much more. It can being a smoker. It could fuck me up pretty good if I'm not careful, right?
Yeah, so. It is a genuinely dangerous virus.
Well, it can be,
and yeah, absolutely can be. But there are a lot of things about it that are just really. It has kind of an insane incubation period.
It does.
Which that creeps me out more than anything else. That's what concerns me.
Because we could
expose
have it
and not even know it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're now saying that there have been cases of people that have it, but it never comes to fruition. Right. They just pass it on to someone else.
Right. That does happen too. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I certainly don't think this is going to be, you know, any kind of, you know, we're not going to hit, you know, plague status.
No, I doubt it. Well, you know, some of the fear mongering with it though is kind of pissing me off.
A little, quite a bit. Definitely be concerned about it. Be aware of it.
Carry hand sanitizer.
Take reasonable precautions. Wash your hands if you're
all the time.
Yeah.
Do what you can.
Yeah. If you're not feeling well, don't go out in public.
Yeah, exactly.
On people, but
wear a mask. Do something. Anything. You can.
Yeah. And please don't think a mask is going to prevent you from getting sick. It is most helpful in preventing the spread.
Well, there's different. Yeah, if you've got
there's different levels. Yeah,
there's different types of masks that can be bacterial, and others are just for dust. Right.
Oh yeah. If you want a mask that's actually going to prevent the virus from getting through, you're talking about, you know, an industrial,
which I have at work,
like an actual industrial, you know, safety filter mask. It's not one that it's not just the paper thing you can put on your face.
Yeah, I know, but if people see you walking around like that, they're going to be going, "What the fuck is going on now?"
True. It is a good way to get people to stay away from you.
This is true. So if you're on a bus, folks, bring one of those with you.
Right.
No one will sit around you.
Right.
Well, so, you got a little bit of.
Yeah, we've got the convention coming up. Of course, you know, our weekly shows. We drop clips from the show about once a day on YouTube. So there is something new from us almost every day.
You guys literally have them dropped by the time I start work, which is 5 a.m. here. So
yeah.
So I'm always oh, there's one. Click and watch that for 15, 20 minutes, whatever.
Yeah. We've been doing this a couple years. So we got to a point where we've got it down to the point where we can almost cut and start uploading as soon as we're done. You know, we don't have to do a lot of processing on the audio. We don't have to do a lot of processing on the video. We've found ways to make sure that is captured as is. It's all set up and ready to go. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of work that goes in the back end, but the product is worth it.
Well, I'm sorry, Ashley. Speaking of that, my bass player Brian works in a care home for elderly, and they've had a breakout. So I told him, "Yeah, buddy, be careful." Yeah,
those breakouts in assisted living facilities. That's concerning.
Yeah.
You know, those should be completely avoidable and preventable.
Should be.
But
like we said, it can incubate and pop up all of a sudden, and you wouldn't even know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I suggest everyone go get tested if they can, just to see if there's anything lingering. It's always a good idea.
Yeah. As soon as tests are available, yeah, absolutely. Go get tested and wash your hands. And
I've heard that they're actually making some progress on a possible vaccination for it.
Yes, yeah, there is progress there being made, but of course, any vaccine is.
It takes a while.
It takes quite a while because once they get it developed and tested, then they have to make sure it's safe.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
You definitely want to make sure a vaccine is safe before releasing it and using it on the general public.
Yeah, we don't want to give anti-vaxxers any more fucking fuel, right? So.
No, not that they have any to begin with.
Well, no, I know.
But
we don't need to give them
hand them
else.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right. Well, that's awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to what you guys have coming. I fucking love the coach ones. Those ones crack me up every goddamn time.
He's one of our favorites.
Yes, you can tell, dude, because you guys keep bringing up his clips because they're hysterical, really. Just the shit that goes in his head.
Well, they're him in particular. They're just getting further and further down the crazy train rails.
Yeah.
We're just watching them go, having a good old time,
cheering them on. Yeah, buddy.
Go on. I'm sure that tracks in sometime. It's going to be spectacular when it does.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hope everybody's out of the way.
Well, at least we'll make sure we are.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Kyle, thank you, man, for joining me today. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. It's been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when I was on you guys' show, I mean, of course, everyone was intermingling, so we didn't really get. That's why I kind of wanted to have you guys on, so I could have the one-on-ones with you, just to get to know you a little bit better, right? And it'll make for the next time I pop onto your show, it'll make for, I think, a lot more fun.
Oh, absolutely, it will. Yeah. We've got to get that scheduled. Love to have you on again.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I had so much fun the last time, so I'm game for that. Good. Oh, and by the way, the BITE model is behavior control, information control, thought control, emotional control.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah.
So, yeah, that's basically the BITE model. And just so you guys know, I have Kyle's partner in crime, X, coming up on Saturday. So, at 6 p.m. my time. And in between the two, I've got Dragnet Silvis coming up.
Oh, nice.
On Wednesday, March 11th. So that should be fun. And then promptly following X on the Monday, the one, the only, and I'm hoping maybe we can sing a little something, Shelley Segal will be on the show. Oh. Yeah. So that should be a lot of fun.
It sure sounds like it will be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she does, on her channel, she does a live songwriting thing every Sunday, I think. And I popped in for a couple and typed in a few suggestions. So, but I think it'd be kind of cool if we did something kind of quickish towards the end of the chat where we kind of maybe do a little tune or something together.
Yeah. You're gonna have to tell your audience, save up your ideas.
Yeah. It'd be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Oh, excellent. Yeah, because that's one link that I didn't put in the description box, but I will afterwards because I didn't read. I completely forgot about your book.
Yeah. I do actually.
Tales of Weirderland.
Yeah. It's a children's book. I'm working on the second volume right now.
Oh, cool. Children's book. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
See, I can read those ones. Do they come with pictures? I like pictures.
I didn't bother to put any pictures in it.
Damn
unfortunately.
it.
Yeah.
Do a revamp and have somebody like I know artists that would love to help. So.
Oh yeah. I have a hard time. I have a hard time asking people to do things without knowing that I can't pay them.
You know what's a lot of times I find, especially when kids are involved, people are willing to donate their time.
Oh, I know a lot of people who are willing to donate their time and do things like that. And you know, I did have a friend of mine who was he did the cover art for me. And
cool.
And he did it just for experience and, you know, knowing how to do a book cover.
That's for you, by the way, Cal.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. And thank you.
If you guys aren't familiar with the Utah Outcasts, definitely go check them out. I have the link to their YouTube channel down below. And a couple other links of how you can follow Kyle around.
Oh, you can stalk me all you want. Yeah.
We like our stalkers.
You're not going to be very surprised. I mean, look, I'm not a very interesting person. I'll just put it.
I don't know, man. Our conversations went into fisting. That's doesn't happen all the time, especially around the dinner table. But anyway.
Okay.
All right, guys. We're gonna get into an after party. You're cool sticking around for a little bit, right?
Actually, I have to go make dinner.
Oh,
I have kids. I have kids that need to be fed. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're doing the after party anyways.
Oh, you absolutely. I'm expecting.
You can go and do, and if you got 10, 15 minutes to jump in after you're done with that, because they usually go on for a little over an hour or so.
Oh, absolutely.
You jump back in and say hi. Just give me a buzz on Twitter, and I'll send you the link for that one.
Oh, I absolutely will.
All right, excellent, Kyle. Thanks, man, for joining me today. It's been fun.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, and thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in and hanging out with us. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And remember, guys, all the links for Kyle are down below. And also, if you guys do dig what I like or do dig what I do here and you'd like to help the show, there are multiple ways you can do that. And I have links for that as well below. Until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of these things, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And